Hey everybody, how's it going? I am your host Adrian, coming to you almost live from lovely Petaluma, California, here in Studio MC2 at Quicksurf Internet Services. Linux News Log is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Do feel free to head on over to techpodcast.com and check out all the other technology-related shows over there. I'd like to encourage everybody to visit us online at quicksurf.com. You can also shoot me an email, linux@quicksurf.com, if you want me to take a look at anything or if you have any feedback on the show. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the stories for this episode. Starting off over at Read Write Web, Microsoft extends its patent deals into Linux servers. This is a pretty interesting story. Microsoft has signed a patent cross-license agreement with Amdocs Software Systems, extending Microsoft's aggressive IP licensing strategy to Linux servers. Although Microsoft said the terms of the deal with Amdocs were confidential, the software giant confirmed two key points. One, the patent agreement covers Amdocs' use of Linux-based servers in its data centers. And two, that Amdocs will pay Microsoft an undisclosed amount of money under the agreement. The thing that bothers me the most about this particular thing is Horacio Gutierrez, the corporate vice president and deputy general counsel of the intellectual property group at Microsoft, has stated that the decision to focus on relationship building required that we treat intellectual property in a fundamentally new way. We can no longer view IP as primarily the right to prevent others from using our technology or competing in our market. In the age of open innovation, intellectual property's greatest value would lie in serving as the currency for collaborative relationships with other firms that could help us acquire the technologies and competencies that we needed to remain successful. So Microsoft going through this patent stuff terms it collaboration when in reality they're going to these companies and saying, hey, you owe us some money. You're doing some stuff in our marketplace. We have a patent for this. You owe us some money. So, I don't know. The next story that we have is from MarketWatch. The Linux Foundation announces keynote speakers, co-located events for LinuxCon Europe in Barcelona. This is pretty interesting. That is taking place. It's the LinuxCon Europe and Embedded Linux Conference taking place in Barcelona, Spain at Hotel Fira Palace, November 5th through 7th, 2012. Unfortunately, I'm not going. But some of the speakers that they have attending there that will be speaking is Evernote CTO Dave Engberg, SUSE's Vice President of Engineering Ralph Flaxa, pretty interesting, Eucalyptus Systems CEO Martin Mikos, Open Materials co-founder Katarina Mota, Ubuntu founder Mark Shuttleworth. He's going to talk about how Ubuntu is advancing the user experience both on the desktop and in the cloud. Director of Intel's Open Source Technology Center, Imad Susu, if that's how I pronounce your name. If not, I apologize. He's going to discuss the importance of Linux at Intel and how the company works upstream to contribute to the Linux kernel. And also, Linux creator Linus Torvalds is going to take the stage with Intel's Chief Linux and Open Source Technologies, Dirk Hondel, to discuss the latest technical advances in the kernel. So pretty interesting. If you're in the area or if you're planning to go, let me know how it went. I'm curious to see how it went. Next up from ZDNet, Linux Mint 13 KDE has been released. He's got a quick little review, this summary here. J.A. Watson. The Linux Mint 13 KDE has been released right after the XFCE build. He's got some screenshots and a quick rundown of what it looks like. Pretty interesting. Check it out. I'm not going to go through everything, but pretty interesting stuff. From PC World's Linux line, Fedora moves forward with UEFI secure boot plans. This I found interesting. So there's been a lot of posturing and people getting upset and basically mayhem going on with regards to Windows 8 Secure Boot and their UEFI interface, which is the Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Fedora has voted that they're going to move forward with their plan, which involves paying $99 to VeriSign for an unlimited use of Microsoft signing services, which will get them in the door. It'll let them actually get in there and be able to boot signed binaries and all that. So pretty interesting stuff. Check it out. Obviously, the next version of Fedora should include a pretty good chunk of this, so we'll see how it goes when it comes out. From Tech Radar, there's a nice in-depth story here, how to pick a new Linux distribution. For those of you who are new to Linux, or you're just checking Linux out, or you're considering maybe trying a different distribution if you're using one that it's not really working for you. This has a really great rundown. They have some recommendations broken down into different categories. If you're looking for a productivity type of distribution, they recommend Fedora 17. Ease of use, Linux Mint. Obviously that's a really simple one there. If you're into hacking, Arch Linux is a great Linux. For security, Tails. I've never heard of Tails, but apparently it's supposed to be super secure. And if you're just looking for something that's just fast, then Bodhi is what they recommend. And they have a rundown of why they recommend it and all that good stuff. So by all means, check out the story, particularly if you are in the market for a new Linux distribution, or if you're looking to maybe switch things up and try something new and different. From CNET News, Nokia quietly kills Linux-based Meltemi, according to various reports flying around the internets. It's for their Series 40 feature phones. We reported on this a while ago where they were doing some work on this. Apparently, they've abandoned it. Nokia. I have to say, I'm really mixed on Nokia. The whole Migo thing just kind of really put the kibosh on it for me. I mean, they were doing really awesome until they decided not to do that. I don't know what else to say. They've been having trouble selling phones lately. I mean, they're clearly a company that's on the decline. So we'll see long term how things stack up for them. From the Sydney Morning Herald in their IT Pro section, there's a nice post here, Fresh Eyes on Linux, from George Wright. He basically is reporting that game publisher Valve has created Steamed Penguins and formally announced their entry into development and promotion of the gaming scene for Linux. This is good news for Linux gamers. Now, there's a lot of questions whether or not all the popular mainstream games in Microsoft land are going to, or even OS X land, are going to make it into Linux, or if they're going to, use Steam for Linux for a whole new array of games that are explicitly for Linux. We don't know that yet. Those plans are yet to be revealed, but pretty interesting. Check out that he's got some pretty good commentary here. So go ahead and check the story out if you want to see what he has, any input that he's got. Again, that'll pretty much do it for this episode of Linux News Log. As always, everything we've talked about is linked up in the show notes. You can visit us online at quicksurf.com to get to the show notes, and we've got all the links there along with links for a bunch of other stuff. You can shoot me email, linux@quicksurf.com. Also, please subscribe to the show if you have not already done so. Every little bit counts. And with that, I will see all of you on the next episode. See you then. Bye.